fault here.
I'm trying to get her into the FBI Academy.
Chairman Steve Bobowski is not here. Justin Lockridge.
She wants to go to that. She did the
Kathleen Richard is not here.
Yep. Excused.
I did it with her.
All right. Melissa Ferguson
Is replaced by Mike Barber.
Mike
Welcome,
Barber.
Mike Barber.
All right.
Mike Barber here.
Here,
Barber here. All right.
taking the place of Steve Bobowski.
Oh, well, then you can run the meeting.
Don't say that.
Yeah. Careful what you ask for. Barb Wesner.
Here.
Tim Wachter here. Alderman Michelle Rick Eichmann.
Here.
Oh. All right, so we have enough for a quorum.
Do.
So then we can proceed. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have the citizen comment period. No citizens here for comments. Next, we need to approve the minutes from the May 9th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have the draft of the biennial report. Brooks.
Hi, everybody. Alderwoman Eichmann, hi. Here's a hard copy as of this morning. You'll see on the screen there. So my name is Eric Brooks, and I run Brooks Communications. And thank you. Proud to partner with Franklin on this. We previously, through my previous agency, did the Economic Development Guide and we appreciate that opportunity. And this is in some ways an extension of that, but consider it more of a progress report. I think it started as a biennial report. Timelines and such got where they're at. Let's say, hey, let's call it. It doesn't have to be an actual biennial report. It could be something that basically brings us up to current day. And thankfully, there's a lot of current day stuff, right? So, like it's amazing to see what's happening here, and the Escala stuff being the most recent, which is reflected in here. So the idea of this document is to give a point in time status update, but certainly something you could replicate, in another year or two or whatever with whoever, or you can do it yourself. But just the idea of kind of reminding people of the story, what's going on, and just in the current, say, last year timeframe's about year to year and a half, maybe 2 years, and it's pretty substantial. So that's what this is, and so what you see in front of you is the most recent version of this. My apologies, it's delayed, and I'll take full ownership for that. We wanted to get this, done by early spring even, but we're very close, I think, right now, what we hope, to being at a point where this is done. And honestly, the longer we wait, though, the more good news happens. But I think we're good. Scala's a very good stopping point, I think. Maybe it's Costco coming? No. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Maybe that's the next one. But anyway, so what this is 8 pages of, and I'll go through it, but you see the hard copy in front of you. And this, to be clear, it needs some refinement. You'll see some Latin language on page 7. But we hope to have those filled in, but you'll see that will be filled in. The hope, I guess, so the request, I guess the hope from my hope from this body is to get your head nod approval on what you have here, and with maybe direction to John to finish it up. I think it's at a point where hopefully you can trust staff to kind of say, yep, this is good, or with these changes will be good, and then we can get to a final document maybe without even another meeting. Is that fair ask, John? I know we're not 100% there now, but I'm hoping we're far enough that you can grant that approval. But take a look at it. So I won't go into the minutia a ton. You saw a version of this in your Johnson email out earlier this week, and set it up some. But it's meant to be kind of this high level overview of kind of some of the wins that you're seeing, and they're substantial. So it starts with a welcome for the mayor, as it should. Certainly, a new updated photos of the council, and also just kind of a story, the value story. And then also it's a summary of wins. So again, think of it as if it is printed. It doesn't have to be. This will live online. This will live in email attachments. This will live in a lot of ways, but if it is printed, this would kind of be the first thing that hits to you. It's kind of the summary.
I like it.
Page 4 and 5 is a bit more detailed, and you'll notice the photos come to life here, and they're meant to do that. You already had some from our previous project, and that were very helpful. But you're seeing some new photos here, including some stuff that from the Escaba announcement. But we're the one good benefit for you all too is you get access to these photos, new photos. So you'll have. I'll show you this photo library. It's pretty substantial that you'll have handed over to you. So the photos you see, these aerial shots, some ground shots throughout, will live with you for other use as you see fit. You will own them. That's all part of the project. So again, more success. It really is meant to stay. These middle pages are meant to talk more about the work of the commission and kind of what's gone through your purview, kind of raising you up in the work that the commission's done and staff has done on certain projects. And so you can see some more of the photos done by a local photographer, friend of mine who's just amazing artistic photographer. And some of the ones we had, some are online, like the point after one, etc. But you'll see the biggest gap now is page 7. And it's got right now Latin text for 3 of the 4. That's been delayed, and that's, again, I take ownership of that. Those are being reported, researched, and written as we speak. What you will see, what they will be, is what you see with the niche Cocoa Services one. That's the first 2 paragraphs of a longer, John, that story I haven't shown it to you, but it's probably 400 words. So what it will do is it tells the story of the project. It's got some great quotes from Steve, and it will link with a QR code, link to the website for the larger story. So each of these will be telling a larger story, which is why they're taking a bit longer. It involves some interviews and research and stuff. So, but there will be a Saputo cheese story that will come to life here, and then link to on the website as well, and as well as Point After and the high school construction program. So in the back is a beautiful photo. So 8 pages, and there's other photos, other things you get to own with this, as well as this document. And I guess I'll open it up for feedback. John, you have anything to add on your end? But I appreciate your patience in getting to this point. But I really think this will be a great document you can use to continue to sell what you're doing, what the city's doing, what's happening in the city, both to your residents, but to current business and prospective business owners as well.
All of them.
The only thing is that on the back,
Yeah.
that photo is a beautiful photo, but that's our old city logo.
That was my thought too.
We have the brand new water tower
You got
with our new logo.
Do you have a brand new water tower with a new logo? Is it with a new logo?
Where's that? South 100th Street.
See, I can.
What is the plan though for because what about the industrial park? Don't they have the flying banjo thing still up or not?
Oh, yes.
Sure.
Oh, but so that's good to know. So I can actually have my photographer go back out and get this thing.
Or if he wants to Photoshop it on. I'm serious.
He
Why
might.
not? Take
Right.
our logo, right?
Is it a similar looking water tower? And it's a little bit small. Is it?
It's smaller.
Okay. No, but it's got the new logo on it. I was wondering that.
It's on South 100th, between Drexel and St. Martin's. Across from Ollie's Apple Orchard, next to the Tri-County Baptist Church. You corner from the residence.
Up in this corner up here,
Yes.
we could put the city logo that's on all the highways.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, that light.
Yeah, maybe have the logo come to life a bit more in this. I think that's true. I think actually that's good.
That's the one that,
The flag logo, right? The wavy.
The quality
Yeah.
of life ones.
the
Yeah.
quality of life one. would
Yeah,
go
I like that.
right up here. And
What's the quality? Is there a version of this one?
Yeah, it's what's at the top of this agenda.
Oh, okay. It's got the tagline on it. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, you got it already, it's right here.
Oh, we do have it?
Yeah, it's
Which
right
page?
here
Oh,
on the cover.
You want the one that says quality
yeah,
of life?
but not the quality of life sign.
Yeah, he means like the ones that we have up on the road,
Okay.
those
Yeah.
banners.
The road ones.
Oh,
the
the banners, okay.
the highway signs that we have.
No, that's honestly,
The
I
entrance
Yeah.
signs, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I have to say, sitting on the board of directors for Engage Franklin, what they put together without any of the board reviewing it before it unfortunately went into print, costing thousands of dollars, but then many mistakes, many businesses left out. I can't say how disappointed I am in that. This is so much more awesome. It really is. I wish if they look for somebody new to do print work with the Engage pamphlet, I would love to connect you. Because this
Please.
is a million times better.
Thank you. And I think John has been super helpful in getting the details right. The details matter a ton, right? You can't either who's in, who's out, or the words, like the dollar amounts, they matter. So this is why even he'll get one more review at this at least to make sure that every word is right. But thank you for that.
Is John happy with his picture? Or is that Elon Musk?
We can't really make him look much better.
Looks a little happy and stern at the same time. It's perfect.
The other John.
That
The
John.
John that counts.
I wish we had a third picture.
We need to get his signature in there, which I'll get from his system. It's his electronic signature. And again, there's some details to fill in here that
I
I'll
think
make sure
John
that.
could take a lot better picture.
Me too. I'm for my pictures, and I did the retake.
If you don't mind, I do want
You're
to.
supposed to make me look younger.
I do want to show you.
Like I said, with his signature, it'd be great.
Yeah, his assistant, his PR assistant, wrote most of that. We did.
And I don't know what he said we didn't see here, but since he might want to see your copy, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'll run it through John. Yeah, is that okay, John, to run it through you, to run it through him?
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I do want to show you what some of these photos are. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, because they didn't run the Engage one past him. Well, they didn't run it past us any on the board either. He was less than.
So this is these are the types of photos that you're going to have, and just you can get a sense of kind of what these are a little bit. Some incredibly high-res photos as we're taking a while to load. But so this is the kind of stuff you're going to have at your disposal.
That's beautiful.
I mean, he's a really amazing photographer. He's dabbling in drones. I guess a different view of that, right? But it's just ballpark comments. You've got industrial, but you see some of this come to life in the report. But you'll have even probably 3 times as many pictures here that you'll have access to. So it's something to keep in mind too. That's a benefit of this project for you all. Like I really like some of the like even this. I mean, he made a building look pretty. Like okay, like that's pretty hard to do, but. So this is the kind of stuff, even your building shots will look beautiful, like just beautiful sunsets. So I will have him go out and shoot that new water tower. We'll make sure that becomes the new back cover. So I just want to point that out. You'll have all these photos as well. So that's part of this project. Yeah, I guess the question is, I mean, I welcome any and all feedback. What's missing? What needs to be changed from your perspective? I'd love to leave this meeting with approval pending final review by the mayor and John. Would be great. And then eventually payment, I guess. But that's fine. And I also say that because it's so delayed, you'll get. I promise you, a discount. It's going to be a discount from what I think it was $6,000 we agreed to or something. This will be less than that.
But send me an invoice.
I will. I'll wait till we have a final before we do
Okay,
that.
right. Okay, yeah.
Where-
I guess my question is, do we care if it says biennial report or says summer? I mean, summer indicates a shorter time period and shelf life.
I just say 2025 and not summer.
Yeah,
Take
I
out the
agree.
word summer. Yeah, that would. I think that would handle
That
it.
does
Yeah.
make it a
Yeah,
little bit more, you're right.
yeah. It just shows time for stuff happen. I would say this, that managing expectations is important. It's, economic development is a process, not an event.
Yeah.
And so I want to keep people out of the event mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy with how these logos held up in print. These are not good. No.
The one comment I'd make about the covers, I
Yes.
think
we have two photos there that represent Karma Labs. One is their building,
Correct.
is that correct? And
Yeah.
one is
Good call.
the people.
Yep.
You know, they're both great photos, but I'm not sure if you want
I don't know if we have any other people in,
What we could do is put a different building there. I do like
Okay.
the people part. I guess that's a good point. I would rather keep the people if that's cool with you
Okay.
all. I like because that's a good picture and I think it says something.
Mm-hmm.
Cause it's on the inside too, isn't it, Saputo?
Yeah, there are different photos of Saputo and Karma as well. So what we could do is almost swap the Karma photos. See, the Karma one's actually kind of repeated.
you've got the building, yeah,
you've
so
got the
yeah.
building,
Inside, so yeah.
Yeah, you
You've
take
got the
it up.
building there.
So I'll add a different building. Maybe the HSA one. Yeah. Okay, we'll add a different.
Well, I think you have HSA
Is that
right
this
here.
one?
This one.
Yep. So we'll find a different
A nice building.
proof point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll noodle on it.
What about,
What about the symbol from Yaxira?
Iskawa.
this guy?
Put that in there,
Like the logo. The logo or a photo.
the logo.
I'd like to
That's
keep
the
this
one.
as ideally as pictures. Maybe a picture of the logo on the building.
They have outside their facility, I have pictures of it, my pictures nowhere near the photographer, but of the flags at Iskawa.
Oh,
Outside, and one of them says Iskawa. It's kind of a cool picture. They took a picture of just the flag.
no, that's so. I'm
It's an
actually.
idea. I mean, I don't care what we do.
Unless there were some good photos from their presentation a few weeks ago.
That we've got a few in already of the. We got the in the front. We got the mayor shaking hands with the governor.
I have
We've got.
Right, but.
Yeah.
We could put the.
Doesn't look like, well, just say Escal in the back.
Also, Rise. Did you take pictures of the Rise complex?
We do a little bit, yeah. So we could have Rise in there as well. Okay.
Could be on. I'm just trying to think of alternatives.
We'll work with you to replace that photo and get to the right. Yeah, it's a good point that we only need two of one. I want to be really choiceful in which ones we pick.
Yeah, this is just a picture that. I don't know.
Well, good. Well, thank you. And again, if you have any other more feedback, I'm certainly John. I'm sure could take it. If you have like words, things like that, outside of the meeting, this will. I hope John's have this wrapped up next week. I just wait on mostly the new the stories from Rich, the writer I'm working with, and I've been leaning on him quite heavily to give me those. I know he's working on them actively. And then you can route it for final review. Yes.
I have a question. I just noticed under Ballpark Commons, and I recognize that the Hampton Inn is not part of the Ballpark Commons, but you do mention Mainstay Suites and the Inn.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well, it was meant to say this is the recent
new.
recent
Okay.
ones.
all right.
You could go less. You could be less specific. Potentially say new hotel.
And there really aren't any new restaurants coming to the common. They're all pretty much done.
Well, it's meant to be like it came to the comment. So it's come. It's meant to say the recent couple
Oh, they
years
come.
that
New
they have.
restaurants
Came.
come to the common.
It's meant to be like kind of almost like a modern day headline that says maybe I'll rethink that headline though, and
Yeah.
maybe should I just say hotel or
I would just not want to make the Hampton feel like they're being left out.
I got
Well, again,
But
this is a report that covers a certain time period.
Yes.
Well, that's
And-
true.
And Lux
Okay.
came in,
that's
in 2024,
okay.
2023. And, as did, some of those restaurants in Mainstay
Yeah.
came in 2024.
Okay.
And so,
Good point.
yeah, so 2023, 2024 kind of timeframes covering it spills over into this, but,
Right.
we're not giving that up on it.
What we could do is Franklin key projects and put like a time frame in there.
Well,
23 to 25,
Well,
almost say.
This is really a promotion.
That's why I always get
Yeah.
back to the biennial
Yeah,
report.
it covers that.
Out to
23 to 25.
outside.
Let's say being recent.
Yeah, that's another question I had, Tim. Speaking of that, who does this all go to?
Well, what I'd like to do is the next newsletter coming out, I'd like to have this as an insert in that. And, then it goes to companies and yes, the circulation is whatever we want it to. But Yeah, it would be part of an advertising. You know, we're reaching out to a company, or a company does a visit. This is it, and we send them to M7, and then they can distribute. They'll probably do more of the electronic route, but we'll try to have a few.
And then stack in the clerk's office.
Pardon?
Then like stack like in the clerk's office. I
Absolutely.
mean, down by the planning department.
But the initial, this is really meant to be a promotion. I view it not represent here, and
Yeah,
you said it.
it's just new stuff that
It's new
happens.
stuff that's
Yeah.
happening. So not everybody. My business.
Right.
It's really been to celebrate like the work that's city has really driven, right? Or this body that's come through this body in a way, right? But yeah, I think there's a way the mayor could own this too. I mean, I handwritten letters with it. There's some things he can do to lift this up as a thank you. Hey, it could be more of a thank you for making part of this happen, or cool for you.
And I just noticed, according to the map, Ballpark Commons is not number 5.
Did that move? Okay.
Yeah, what's number 5 there is near.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you're right.
See what I'm saying?
Yep, I'll confirm those maps. It's the kind of stuff that I guarantee will be caught.
Oh,
Under,
I would have missed that.
Yeah, good catch. Good catch. I will confirm all map numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's number 6. Rise is number 6.
Okay. Ballpark is fine.
And ballpark is,
Yep.
they're just reversed.
So are we looking for then an approval of this piece or presentation?
I guess we look for the approval of the document to date and the approach that we're taking.
Anybody else have any questions, comments, or?
But I guess my hope would be is that, again, John could be empowered to call this final, right? So maybe this will be done, I suspect, before you meet again. He'll have it ready to go. If he calls it final, you're comfortable with that. I hope on your behalf, but that be your call if what you do there. But I don't want to have to wait another month or whatever.
So we're gonna need we're gonna need approval for the draft as it, and then we'll need approval for John to sign off.
Just approve with
Pending
final edits
final edits.
from the director.
Okay.
So move.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much, John. Thanks for the opportunity, and congratulations, by the way. The more we dove into this story, it's a damn good story, and getting better. Getting better. I mean, it just really is. It's cool. I be proud of what you guys are doing here. It's significant. So I think once the story, it's being told more and more, and it's good to see.
Lots more good to come. It's on the beginning.
Oh yeah, I know my family's looking forward to costumes. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Have a good rest of
You
the
too,
summer.
thank you very much.
Hope to see you again someday.
You'll see me again. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun fact: I've actually started driving Uber a little bit.
Either
I
that,
see an
or
Uber
I'll,
ride next to you soon.
either that, or I'll have to stop by the Bee Club.
Please do. Actually, if you do pop in 10 to 2, I work every weekday at the Stars. Telling that story a lot better than you do.
Thanks, have a good weekend.
Okay, so next item on our agenda is planning, draft implementation plan for Flash and consulting.
So Corey is coming here down from Appleton, so I probably was held up in traffic. But we could go into the annual event if you like.
Pending her arrival, or development update. So first in that area is the business appreciation celebration. So
Yeah, you got your documents, in, but I can also, I can tap into whatever documents we like. I've got the packet on board, but, okay, and that's just some of the documents that you've got as attachment. But I guess the first thing is the award categories that we have. As a reminder, I sent you some documents, some of which are a little dated, and I'm sure I had something that had the nominate, or the award categories up there. But we have large and small excellence in business. We've got the business leader of the year. We also have innovation, which you'll see in some of the awards that were given out. So excellence in business innovation, and then just simply by default or by happenstance, the last 2 years we've had what essentially the mayor's choice. So those would be the awards that are out there. So you may want to make a note on that first sheet, business or program innovation is another award. But here's some of the judging criteria that we have, which is what people should keep in mind when they're nominating a business for an award. And that's on the first page of the attachment you have. The second page, and you can see up here on the screen if you're not picking it up in your packet. But the next one down is, basically the short list of qualifying questions that you have for someone that you're trying to qualify. For large businesses, in small businesses, it's greater or less than $10 million. Really the breaking point there. And has the business been in Franklin for at least 3 years? And it asks about customer service philosophy and training and employee enrichment programs, participation in the community, and participation in workforce development. So that's for excellence in business, large and small, and then excellence in leadership. What makes this person a leader in Franklin? What are the key professional and community involvement accomplishments? And then excellence in innovation. How has the company been innovative? What are their new business practices and what new technology have been integrated into the business that make them innovative? So after that, you see the list of nominees and those that have won since the inception of the awards. So in terms of the nominations process, we need to, I guess the question is, in the past we've gone out and done interviews. The last meeting, we got the impression we didn't want to actually go out and necessarily do full-scale interviews, but maybe you could answer those questions, and if you had any holes in your process, maybe you contact the person or the businesses that you're nominating. Yeah. So that would give you some more background on it, because we do ask what your rationale in our grid, our selection grid or our nominations grid, what the rationale is for nominating. So those would be good questions to try to answer. Some of you have qualifying questions, but you also have some that make the case for them being nominated, being winners.
Do we have the 2024? This is for the.
Yeah. I think you missed a year in there somewhere because of COVID. But we've had them since 2022.
Who I'd love to see if they fall into this, is, I don't personally, from my agent forever, but James Bill, State Farm.
Yeah.
James Bill with State Farm Insurance, he gives back so much to the community. From volunteering, scholarships, the list is endless.
Yeah, it's like,
What is his last name again?
Build, BILD,
it's over on 27th.
yeah,
And that would be in the small business category.
yeah, and he was overlooked by the South Suburban nominee. Just does so much. For me. So,
I guess our process is that we're going to get nominations in and go through them, and discuss them at the next meeting, which will be in August. So you really should make nominations and send them in to me ahead of time, so I can at least get the grid, the nomination. It's basically a spreadsheet that just has in there their name and in the category that they're in, and then the explanation as to why they should be selected as the business of the year for that category.
Does anybody know if Daniel Kenny's business is in Franklin?
real estate business?
Is that in Franklin or is that
Was
somewhere
she's through, was not
I didn't
Keller
know
Williams.
that. Is it a manufacturer? Or is
No, she's
No,
a real
Daniel
estate
Kenny
agent.
is
Oh.
a realtor and a consultant person. I don't know if her, but she does a lot in the community. She's very involved and through her agent.
Right, her agency isn't based, but she,
Kind of like the State Farm. You know,
I don't know. I don't
some
know if she's in
individuals
town or
just
not.
use their business and like him, you know, you contribute, but you do a lot through your business. Kind of.
yes, she does. Yeah, Danielle's a great.
I don't find out if she's where she's at.
I mean, I can find out that. So.
Yeah, and I talked to her.
well, I mean, business in Franklin.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
She works for real estate.
Or
Oh, okay, so she's not working, not, she works for.
Oh, you know what? What about, well, we don't have McDonald's. They're under new ownership too. They've been doing, the new owners of McDonald's, doing a lot.
just because that's where you get your nutrition.
What did she say? I love a big man. We were at a South Suburban. Yeah. Not that we go in many. We were at one Friday.
So I'm thinking that it all when in like I say, it's only a spreadsheet. Essentially, those
One of the
those two categories, who they are and why you're nominating, is what we need.
one of the groups that's really expanded over the years, when it started off 2 or 3 years ago, is the YMCA.
Bristol.
And they do so many programs for seniors. Seniors are very involved over there, as well as the courses that they are. I mean, the YMCA is pretty grown a lot in terms of its.
Where are they going?
YMCA
Here in the Mosh.
in the Mosh.
Oh, okay.
Agreed.
Upstairs, first floor and upstairs, they got 2 levels.
Got it.
Next to the next to the orthopedic
Oh, okay,
office there, and then up on the second level is the eye clinic,
okay.
that building.
Okay, well, we reviewed all the categories of the nomination process, so I guess nominations in by next time. So move forward with that.
And we could renominate people who have been nominated in the past. but
If,
have not won.
if they have won in the last 5 years,
5 years.
Oh, yes.
And even if they've won,
yeah, if it was like
okay,
If they've been nominated, they could still be.
yes. They're
Yeah.
brought back.
nominated again.
There's no limit. Have we ever asked, like, the city department heads, if they would have anybody that they're working with or could nominate?
Haven't,
In the past, you've asked us all,
Not really.
if there's like a business that stands out
we've
in
basically,
our district.
yeah, we've basically just made this responsibility of the economic development.
Because I think we could get better, we could expand the input base.
For the alders, if there's a business within their district.
And some of the department heads, maybe like, maybe.
Which
the-
department head?
The Board of Health would know who are innovative, who's working with health and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Planning Commission would know who's good to work with. But one thing too, and I don't know if we've ever done a developer, but Brisbala's done
Yes.
a lot of development.
yes, when you started to say that, that's, I was thinking of that. But, yeah,
Rick Brisbala
Franklin Home,
done a lot of different homes. He did the one across from the church on 76 there. Now he's doing the one on Drexel across from the old farmhouse there.
yeah,
That's all his. Done a lot of different
one of
developments.
the best. And he could take his business elsewhere, but and he asked for decades, and have no one recognized.
Well, I knew his dad and his mom. I had Jerry for years.
Okay,
I
so
knew him when he was.
at this point, then we kind of got a situation where expand this out to have the and department head.
If they want to nominate somebody, maybe they could give us some input.
Some input doesn't mean we
I mean, it's
necessarily
not-
have to take their.
It's not mandatory. It's just kind of
Well,
like.
no, it's a matter of them recommending somebody and why.
Right, like for example, Alderwoman Day, who's not on here, the Alderwoman of the Business Park, we may stick out to her.
Well, sure.
You know what I mean, that way.
I'm not saying not. I'm just
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to clarify.
Yeah.
Is this what we want to
And definitely the mayor.
want to and the selection or nomination process to people and I don't know.
If everyone agrees, some may not even answer, but at least it's, we throw it out there.
All right, so now we go with
I can send an email out to the council, to the alders, and to department heads with the information,
they
and
would have a
if you have any
date by which they
suggestions.
would
Then-
have it.
And-
Well,
Right,
we're-
I would, yeah, I'd give them,
And will department heads include fire?
yeah, whoever's in that list.
Yeah.
I mean, it's department head, so I'm assuming it's all inclusive.
All right, so then, are you add or say?
That sounds fine. I would just make sure, my only concern would be that it might become a little.
Well, some concern that I had, but I mean, as long as
We would still make the decisions.
Right, we would.
true.
All we're looking is for some input.
Right, just because
Yes.
somebody's nominated doesn't mean it has to be
No, correct.
accepted,
Right.
right?
But it would give us an expanded list of people that are potentially.
And the pre-qualifying with these questions that help us greatly to, think will help narrow down and getting to.
Well, and correct, but I think it's important that any things coming from we send this out to would then have to come with some sort of reasoning, because the problem we're going to have is we're going to have to select them. Those people will not be found on unless it's written why these people are being nominated. So I'm trying to make it that letter out they have to say, not just so and so because, or not even so and so because, but so and so.
Right,
Otherwise, we're going to have to
right, not like ABC restaurant because they're nice people and have good food, it's gotta be
Right.
more, yeah.
Because we would do the background anyway, if we think that maybe there's this, if we nominated someone, we would still do,
Somebody's nominating someone, they need to do the same thing that you folks need
Yeah.
to do, is
Right.
they need to say who it is, what category they're under, and
Right.
why it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's,
and then it would come to us as being another option to look at.
correct.
And we are expecting also Mayor's Choice Award.
Right.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's at the top of the page there, but add innovation. I've got it correct.
Oh,
And I'll bet I've got one that is corrected, but I dug this up. I went to the
Yeah,
past.
maybe.
So then, do we have a motion to expand our nomination process?
I'll make the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So since Corey isn't here yet, then let's move on with our full session. Regarding current prospects. I need to read this into the.
Yes. Yeah, read it in, and then we need a motion.
The Economic Development Commission will enter closed session pursuant to statute 19.51. Deliberate and consider potential industrial manufacturing developments and government actions in relation thereto. Upon re-enter open session in the same place thereafter to act on such discussed therein. Appropriate.
So move.
Second. If Corey shows up, will she know that, like,
We'll have to have her wait.
right, just so she doesn't think that we closed yet?
Oh,
I mean, I know we have to obviously
Sure, sure.
close the doors, but I can kind of keep my eye open.
yes.
I'm sure she'll look in.
Should we say something in the clerk's office? The walker.
So we've completed the economic development update at this point. We'll then go back to Corey Plotch is here, and we'll invite her in, go over strategic planning and draft implementation plan.
No.
Strong.
No. They're having us riding some fire. The music on the move bar. In my elevator. They don't want us to come in.
Yeah.
It's a candy crush. Which I'm happy to. But
Saves $300 in candy.
sorry.
No, no.
and then Pecorelli.
And that copy of that plan is right there.
Pecorelli.
Okay, great. My apologies, I thought this was a 4 o'clock, so.
No, it's all right.
It's gonna be fun.
Will you be at it? Will you be at it?
Welcome back.
I'm gonna go to the parade.
How are you? Hello.
There's room on the truck,
Good.
right?
I'm not at all.
So we'll give you
Unless they
the
have they'd have to ask.
floor, so you give us an update here.
Kristen, Ed, Sherry, the
You're the only
alumni.
alder that took the doors.
The alumni.
Now, you all have copies
I'm
of
still giving back.
the full report, but also of the implementation plan separated out. Or you got them both just still as one. I figured you knew your way around well enough you didn't need a separate one. So,
Yes. Actually, this looks like the original. That looks like the one.
okay, well,
Oh, no, there's.
they might both be in. Thanks.
Okay.
Much bar line.
That's okay. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. If it's okay, I'm just going to decide.
Okay, well, what you got, well, okay.
Because I don't, I only have, I can tell just by the numbering that I have the original. I don't have, I have the original.
Yeah, these are the ones of the pages that actually line
Yeah.
up. Oops.
Yeah, I go from 13 to 14. I don't have all
Yep.
the extra stuff, so I don't have
Yep, you don't have that right there. Okay, let me dive into,
That's okay. We're gonna,
well, whatever.
everybody's conscious and breathing and nothing. you're
No.
gonna be, it's fine.
What I've got to do is I've got to bail out of this, so I've got to get into,
I am just
the
gonna
information is
decide.
the same, but the pages are.
Yeah, because I was not gonna update the table of contents and the pages until we knew what we were gonna do.
Well, there's
So-
the implementation, and I go back again. So you want to take it from the whole study, or do you want?
Yeah, let me, what I'm gonna do real quick is see if I can see it on my, computer, 'cause if I can, then that may make this a little bit easier, and then I can, see if I can make some notes someplace.
Do we want 4 page 13s?
And the reason why is because I was not gonna go through and make all the adjustments on the page numbers or the table of contents until we had finalized everything. So that was not an omission, that was I knew we were gonna make a bunch of adjustments, and so I just wanted to wait and make them all at the same time.
Where we got sideways here is I printed my packet up as a packet before the meeting, and it still had the old stuff. But this is the new one right here,
Okay.
and you can.
Okay, let me see if I'm able to pull this up real quick, see it, because,
And if you want, I can connect you actually to the screen.
you know, that's okay. Let's just go ahead and kind of go through. If you can take us down to the implementation. So let's just kind of talk through real quick what it is that was added, right? So basically what is here is the original report. John contacted me and said, hey, EDC would like to add additional. And I said, absolutely. So what John and I had talked about was me coming in and understanding. So I'd gotten some notes from Steve, but I wanted to understand from everyone else exactly what you wanted to have. And so it was easier for me to come in and to understand exactly what it was that you wanted added to make sure that what you receive as your final copy is reflective of the thoughts and the priorities of the EDC as a whole. So I have incorporated what my understanding is the notes from the chair. So that is what you have right now. So what I want to know then is what are we still missing? So that is your 4-page 13s, or what has been added.
Well, what did Steve recommend? You said Steve sent you some notes?
What is in there is exactly what I got from Steve.
Oh, okay.
On page 13?
All 4-page 13s, yes.
Okay.
All of the page 13s, yes.
Okay.
And
That's
when we
all.
go, and when I go through, I will obviously, hopefully you guys know me well enough to know that I will go through and I will correct that in the table of contents. But I wanted to make sure that I was just going to take care of that when we had everything finalized.
Are any of these page 13s the original before Steve
The
added?
first page 13
First
probably.
Page 13.
Yeah.
So the next 3 13s are all.
Yeah.
that.
So when we had the page that's up on the screen right now, that was initially part of it when we were talking about some of those initiatives that we were going to be doing. So the analysis, appropriate housing incentives analysis, the industrial incentives analysis, retail node prioritization analysis. Those are all under goal 1. Those were all original to what I had done initially with EDC. And then I received some additional notes and had a conversation with Job. So what you are seeing now is the addition of that. The additional page 13s are all those additional notes. So.
And you received them too. Those were the chairman's input.
Yes.
So my question for you then is, I am looking for direction in terms of what more would you like to see? Are there the recommendations as you see them? Are they complete? Is there more that you feel you want to have in there? I am just looking for direction in terms of incorporating the implementation now into the strategic plan to make sure it's reflective of your direction. Did I sum that up okay, John?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Before my brief respite from the commission, the Steve had some major concerns, and I don't know what happened in the interim, but I see this as
What you got for these
This is
implementation
what-
strategies
so
is what
is
he
that-
submitted.
does this capture all of Steve's concerns at this point?
I don't know, he's not here, so.
All
I think
all of
this
his
is-
objectives and yeah, goals and objectives that he wanted in there, yes.
Okay, because I missed a couple meetings.
Yeah, that,
So,
what Steve provided was chairman's, it was the
Suggestions.
chairman's plan input,
okay,
and that's what was added into, that's what he submitted.
without his direct confirmation, or not confirmation of that, but without his screen of that, I don't know if I'm capable of saying anything different than reading what was now new data for me.
It's just incorporated into the plan.
Okay.
John, how different are these comments? Different from your job description?
There's a bit more marketing in there. And so, yeah, quite a bit more marketing and more outreach. So, yeah, there's a lot more active background, having information about what's available as far as land. I mean, basically, this is going to require some more staff time.
That's what I
Well, and the process is you put together your plan and you figure out what it is you're going to need for help, and you propose and the council dispose. Is so, but at least you put your plan out there and get a chance to look at it and made the final decision. So you prioritize with the funding you get.
Well, I don't see how we can comment on this, and I certainly can't add any. Standing economic development plan, the first one right off the bat, technology and educational. Establish partnership. And then provide modern impact establishment. Well, we have some internal things that need to be up here in the city, much less how are we going to provide modern infrastructure? Who's going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? There's no basis in any of it. I don't even see how we can start with that. I can see the advanced manufacturing to take one trade show annually. That could be done. Same thing with retail and hospitality. Attend one trade show annually.
Where are you reading, Tim?
It does.
First page of implementation strategies.
Yeah, it would be the third page 13 or whatever.
Well, actually the second.
The second page.
Yes. Yeah, you start with the economic development plan implementation. That's basically what we had in the report initially. And then when you get to implementation strategies,
Okay.
and it's
Was
right
it
here.
given as a separate
is-
document to you guys with just the changes that were made?
Right.
Well, his stuff was this.
Right.
John, is there a, can you give me the password for the Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi is COF guest.
Okay, thank you.
So are you looking for, this is the new implementation page right here. The new implementation.
That was actually the original one, John.
Yeah,
That was the original. This
There.
starts the new. That starts the new right there. That was part of the original plan.
The 4
But
pages.
that first one right there is it's technically the first page 13 was actually part of the original. That was part of
Right.
the original plan.
Yep.
But the following page is where the new begins. So implementation strategies.
Yeah.
And the problem with a lot of this is very broad based. Residential commercial ratio, ensure the commercial growth supports the needs of residential population. How do we measure it? How do we implement it? How do we indicate that? Maintain a balanced residential commercial ratio, 70 to 30. I get what, I understand the numbers concept, but what do we do? A developer comes in and wants to put in a subdivision, do it, prove it, and then we're going to say, oh no, you can't be industrial. I mean, who's going to see all this? I don't, personally, I don't follow it.
If I may, that can be a challenge with ratios for precisely that reason, depending on how firmly you stick to the ratio or range.
But from an economic development plan on our end, how do we control it? Not really following. I don't know how these added.
Is it still something we want to maintain 70-30? Do we have a recommendation on the other side of that?
I don't even know that that's. I think that was just an arbitrary goal set by somebody 20, 30
Well, it's
years
been
ago.
out there as part of the plan. It's been the guideline for many years now.
Okay.
That goes back to Tom Taylor's era when he put that into effect. Or
And
so is
what
that a review? Is that
still
still?
the question is, where are we at?
Yeah, is that still something we want to take on? Do we want to maintain it, or do we want to just be kind of an oversight to say, is that still where we're at? Is that still valid? Is there?
Well, I mean, have we even studied as to whether that's a good ratio or not?
That's what I'm saying. The guide has always been trying to maintain it. There's numbers to support it one way or another.
So when a developer comes in here, wants to develop a plan, they have to planning commission, right? Is that correct?
It's it's been kind of like a balance that's been a yin yang. It floats a little
Okay.
bit, not specific, or it's more dynamic than static.
It usually starts with the planning commission, is that correct, or no?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then it goes to the common council, final, correct?
yeah, there's a lot of,
Or what?
When you're
there's
talking.
a lot of pre-meetings.
Oh,
that
sure,
we
no,
don't
I
have.
understand all that, that's not what I'm arguing about. All my question ultimately is, you know, in terms of maintaining balance, that 70-30 ratio that Tom Taylor established 25 years ago, or whatever it was, do you use that then? Do you look at that? Do you study common council? No.
On occasion, that's been asked, what are the numbers, where do we stand? It's not anything that's been,
But it doesn't,
it's just a guide.
But what it is that, you know, you're measuring valuation, assessed valuation.
I understand.
So the thing is you look for, in terms of developing in marketing, because we have property that's available for marketing. Okay, so what do we put in it?
Right.
And so what are the markets that are the most lucrative, that are cutting edge, and what are, you know, the ones that are stable and that you depend on, and you bring them in, the ones that you have strength in. So technology is an area that we have a lot of universities that have high-tech capabilities, some with research, most of them with just the education part. Now, to your question, and so that can work with the properties that are out there that are being developed, and those get qualified, you know, for use by the planning department. And that's occurred. We're going to go out and look for more. That will have to go. But the immediate marketing aspect of looking at those properties exist. Your comment to or perspective on our capacity is probably an immediate concern that needs to
But I guess getting back to the whole reason Corey's here, the whole reason we did all this, the whole reason, what I'm talking about is I'm looking over here, her original proposal, we have, you know, goal 2, establish partnership and finance. Well, that to me is working more towards determining and establishing whether the 70-30 ratio is appropriate. Okay, that goal is to me more concrete than when, you know, it's just a random number he picked, or that's what established. Maybe it is the correct number. I don't know.
It was established a while ago, but with the finance committee, I think we're looking more in terms of the equity and balance we want to strike when we're working with a company, regardless of where they come from. We're looking at what are the rules that we're going to have for working with a company, their assessed valuation, and how much are we going to offer for incentive. But it's all based on assessed value. What percentages should we be off?
But again, getting back to it, how do we fit that in here or add to it? My problem is
Yeah, or specifically for TIO incentive. We have, look at a category of, do we have any special consideration for companies that are in high technology? So, say 75% of increment is all we will do for a company that's locating in the city. In 75% for 10 years or something like that. But if it's a high-tech company, so maybe we're willing to do 85% for 10 years. So that would be just fully off the wall
Right.
example of
Yes.
how that would be addressed there. The other stuff, established partnerships with research institution, again, that's staff. Now, providing modern infrastructure, Now you're getting to the engineering department and finance to determine what it is you're going to.
And how do we get these set up as goals? Measurable results. I don't know how you get big.
Right.
That, like,
Yeah, you're looking for some metrics,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
the measurement standard.
at this point here, without steering, I don't even know what to say.
I guess, is this enough of a guide for us to look at for future meetings, kind of put the meat, into what is there? It's like the 70-30, is that, everybody knows you need residential to support commercial. And that's what that's speaking to. So do we work with that now and say, is that valid, or do we have enough residential in order to sustain the commercial that's here? We're looking for more retail, and demand is for retail and restaurants. So how does that all balance out, and what would we want to work with in the future? So to me, goals are guidelines as to what we're going to be working on and defining as we move forward. So,
But one of to speak about what you just got done saying, one of the goals we have in related to that, maybe I'm off here. Goal 1, number 3, retail node prioritization analysis. The way Franklin is developing, you've got a massive amount of development far to the east, all this farmland going farther to the west, south. As you're developing those properties, you just spoke to, you have a certain amount of commercial / retail space versus the number of homes that you're putting in. Rather than trying to develop a downtown area for the city, maybe have retail nodes that would suffice this area, kind of serviced by this. But that's that is a goal that we've got, that we're trying to address that issue. That's more of a specific goal. You also then got to get buy-in by the people, by the council, by everybody. See if that's the direction the city wants to go. So, but if you don't do any, like here it says retail node prioritization analysis. Well, if we can analyze it, whether this is going to work or not, go from there. We have a goal. It's like he's trying to eat the elephant in one bite.
got to start somewhere.
Well, but that's what we have here with the goals. Smaller pieces.
So if I could offer, when we did the original strategic plan, and if we go back and if we look at the original goals, which are on page 12, where some of that came from was some things like what kinds of incentive needs are needed. I mean, if we look at that, first outcome, part of the question was what are the appropriate incentive needs? And so I think that there was based on the work that we did together, there were some questions there about what exactly that looked like. I think that there's a lot of information that's contained, but I think that there's still kind of that analysis portion of it that adds more, and that can and should add more to that. So I think that a lot of what Steve added potentially could be stuff, but I don't know though that list is or should be considered to be exhaustive of what should be done, because I think that's kind of got to what we were doing with goal 1 in that first outcome. What does the market want in terms of incentives? That was one of the questions we had that we thought needed
in terms of adding, Steve's not here, so I don't really know what to say. My opinion right now.
Well, we have, apparently it's been incorporated, what Steve had wished for. So we can now take that and discern where we want to go with it and sort that out. I don't think that would be Corey's position or job to do that. But wouldn't it be us to decide how we put the meat and the wording together at this point, given we're getting the data back, and we have to work with it. That's the way I kind of see this.
So normally at this point, when I work with, when I'm working with organizations or commissions or committees, whatever, it really is to kind of figure out kind of the strategies, the plans, like kind of the meat and potatoes of how it is that we're going to start executing on this. And so I think that might be, if I may make the suggestion, kind of a good way to kind of think through where to the priorities, where to start eating the elephant first, to tag onto your analogy or your figure of speech there. Here's what I want to do. I want to help this commission in whatever way possible to be able to move forward with this. So let me know how I can aid you in that, because what I don't want is I don't want this to sit on the shelf because you don't know what to do next. So help me help you.
Well, I mean, based on what we said at the beginning, you wanted us brought up. Fortunately,
Okay.
I mean, he's not here. I concern what it is. Unless I talk to any rest of about any of this. He did present it to us. Was it 2 meetings ago? But again, I can't add as far as the original goals, as far as sub goals.
I think we'd have to have a meeting with Steve here. We could discuss it. What do we do? What do we want next?
Okay.
Given the fact that there's.
But then, are we going to proceed with goals 1, 2, and 3 as they stand right now? That's what we establish, or
Not necessarily. What do we want to do at this point? Steve kind of had ideas, shared them. Is he happy with that, or what was his thought on doing that as the chair? He's the one that did it, so I guess what we could do is have an internal discussion on all that and then get back, let you know how you can help us move forward with that. But until we reconcile, or at least understand the different aspects of it, I don't see how we can really do anything like you're saying. But I think that's a kind of a internal plenary that we have to have.
okay. Joe?
Again, speaking at me. I can go back.
I don't think we're that far off. We just need to add some meat and, like you said, meat and potatoes and wording to that to make it concise, or more concise, and we have a better understanding of what it is that we're going to be working with. So that's kind of where I think the group is at.
Well, my problem is this. Steve's proposing here. John's not going to be able to do all this by himself.
Right?
So he's going to need help. So we're going to go full blown like what Steve's got here. Telling you the common council is ready for staff.
Well, of course.
So. Okay. Only so many
I haven't
hours-
been on
there's
EDP
only-
that long. I
Only
don't
so
know
many
where we're
hours
at.
in a day. So where I'm going with this is goals that we originally established, to me, are doable with the staff we have. I mean, you have to work within the confines of the resources you have.
Right. Not going outside of any
So,
other resources. We don't have the money.
well, so then my question is, just pay to get all this established, get a strategic plan, set up goals, everything else. Steve comes up with an idea that's going to require more staff, which fine, but we're not going to get that. So we're going to stand here, deliberate, figure out how much of Steve's stuff we're going to put in here, waste a bunch of more time. I guess my question is, what's it going to get us? Maybe I'm a little too bottom line here, but
If I may, can I back us way up to kind of at the beginning of the planning process and kind of what we talked about at that session?
Yeah.
Because part of the goals of that strategic planning session was to get some clarity around what the priorities were. But the strategic plan is also going to be kind of a messaging document and development, right? So what is most important? And developers who are looking in, what can you expect if you're working? And so that was, we got consensus from a lot of different people who were in the room. We got it from staff, we got it from the common council members who were here. It was a lot of different perspectives
Right.
that created that plan, and so there was some consensus and some buy-in that this was kind of that overall vision. With that kind of being the goal, what should the community, think? Because we had community input as well.
Yep.
So kind of backing up kind of the whole thing, because what I think I'm hearing, and please tell me if I'm off track here, but I feel like I'm hearing is that you're almost seeing a bit of inconsistency now between some of what we did initially and kind of that larger purpose and some more really detailed and focused things that have been added on. Am I hearing that?
Right.
So maybe kind of going back to kind of what my understanding was of the goals when we first came in here, which was to establish some priorities, to really have some clarity around what it was that Franklin was trying to do, and to be able to present that messaging in a way that was very clear externally, both to your residents, because there was a lot of different ideas about what should be done, and not necessarily a lot of consensus. And so that was part of why the goals were developed the way that they were developed, was to give some time to figure out some of those things, but also, though, to give developers the understanding that the development process, you can expect, if you're coming to Franklin, that the UDO is being updated. And so you can expect to have a streamlined process because we want you here. And that really was initially the goals of the process. Just kind of hearing some of this now, I almost feel like maybe some of the goal has changed over the course of the process, and perhaps that's why this seems a little bit working.
I think Steve wants more outreach, and which is more of a proactive approach, which is part of the mix. But he's gone and done highly extensive list of everything that can be done, and we just need parts of it. in order to do that. I mean, it's like going out, and meeting the developer, not just waiting for them to come and say, well, we have a really shortened process. But getting out, talking to them. So which ones do you talk to, and markets are we looking at finding developers that they represent? So that's kind of the outreach.
Sure. And those certainly can go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it can be part of it. Again, it comes down to resources we have.
So I do not believe in plans that sit on shelves, so let me know what I can do to help you not have this sit on a shelf.
All right, well, I guess we'll have to wait to see back on the hash out.
Would we be well advised to have a meeting in July and have it be a meeting with the root group discussing what from the chairman's plan we want to include in how do we fine tune it or prioritize it?
Well,
to
to
keep
me,
what we
it's-
want, or
It's like, we got all this input, we went through the process that led us. And now it's up to us to decide what, as a committee, do we want to start working on?
yeah, that's just basically that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is
It-
what
it's
parts of it?
We can't do it, we can't do it all. And we're missing all the deadlines that are already here that we had put down.
Yep.
So now it's like, what do we want to start looking at as to help you do your job? Where can we apply some efforts on what do we want to try to do first? What do we want to try to do second? How do we prioritize doing that?
But question or my comment is, on the original plan, we had, it says goal 1, goal 2, goal 3.
Yep.
Done. Steve just doesn't like them.
Well, that's a squabble we'll handle internally, but it's kind of like, what do we want to do now? That's still the overall picture that I want to see emerge from this. What do we want to concentrate on? Where do we want to focus? Where can we help John? And where maybe make recommendations to other areas in the city that can help us achieve that? That's kind of what we have to say right now. What do we want to do?
May I ask a procedural question? Does the strategic plan have to be adopted by any other body? Is it adopted by the council at this point, or is it simply approved by this commission, and is that where it stays?
It's going to be the City of Franklin's economic development. There has to be a plan taken to the council that they would.
So with that being said, and take this in the what it's worth category, I think that the more some of the stuff that has been added now are probably going to be some more controversial in terms of acceptance. I think that we had some consensus around the original, so maybe we do something like a separate implementation plan. An implementation plan is not necessarily, in my experience, something that is adopted, that the actual plan itself is adopted, but the implementation is a separate thing, so that's more of a working document. Just procedurally, that's the way that I normally get that done, if that's not in conflict with the way that you.
I would say that we're going to adopt a plan. Most of the council. I mean, we right now we work on the priorities that we set. If we had an implementation plan that we're working on it, we wanted to work off as a committee. Really, the long and short of it is when we take implementation in terms of funding to the council.
So, and please know, I do not know Franklin, but it's just I work with a lot of different communities, so I just, some ideas for some things I have seen work in other places is to go ahead and to take the plan in its original format, not what you're seeing today, but the original, take that to Common Council, because we did have several members that were here that kind of saw that there was a lot of community to at least get that portion of it adopted, work on the is kind of a working plan. And then as there's things that come up that may need to have council input, approval, budget, things like that, those can be kind of dealt with more separately, but that will kind of give you some time to work on some of that. But rather than trying to put it all into one document, I am just afraid that the more strategies that you have in, if this is going to be adopted by council, it may be more difficult to have it. Again, I do not know Franklin, and that's just based on experiences I've had at other.
I can't speak for council if they would, like to see the original plan without more of the marketing stuff that Steve wanted.
Yeah.
I think the more detail, the more opportunity for disagreement. You'll probably find the council agreeing to those 3 goals. And then all of this detail here, people will have a lot of different opinions.
Right. Everything.
Right, and it's some of these strategies here are beyond, I think, this commission. They will impact almost every department in the city, and I don't think we can really speak to them, or should.
Well, I think what's more important, look at the original economic development plan, through it, the goals. I think what they're doing here is trying to start departments start together instead of being siloed, which is what they are now. To speak to what Barb just said, you need to build on that basis where you start interacting and working together instead of just fiefdoms. And the original goal here, original goals lead to that more than he was saying. We have all this detail, all this. We have how many pages of stuff that you put together? Where do you even start?
So in other communities that I've worked in, sometimes what we do is that we have got some other goals that feed into some higher level goals. And so maybe that's where some of Steve's stuff, we know that we're going to use some of the stuff that Steve's recommendation, again, that's part of that implementation that we know is going to feed into some of this, but that, and I do realize that part of that is the commission work, but a lot of that really is kind of looked at as a working plan, and so it isn't necessary. So it really is because it's worth it. Plan. It's just viewed a little bit. It's viewed as more of a working document rather than the goal itself. But that just kind of separating that might just kind of help moving forward. That you have something that's been adopted. And please know, all I want to do is I just want to help you guys keep moving forward, and that's my only.
Well, at this point, he's not here. What he put together, we can certainly speak on his behalf. At this point, but get back to you when we have more to discuss. Further discussion? Or? All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, and I apologize for wires crossed. I thought the meeting started at 4, not 3, so that was.
That's all right.
Once upon a time it did. When you started working with us, they did.
I just have one request on the plan. You have all this listed. Could you just change my name to Barbara?
Oh, of course.
Okay, thanks. It's kind of minor, but
Of
Very
course.
nice.
I am so sorry.
that's okay. I answer to a lot of things, but I think I prefer to be known as Barbara.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Other materials, like
Oh.
the report.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
no. I'm happy to do that. And thank you for asking because
Okay.
I want to, yeah. No, I only go by Corin if I'm in trouble with my mother, so I.
And I was Barbara Ann when I was.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I understand that completely. No, I will make sure that that is corrected.
Thank you.
That was me, I think.
Answers everything
Okay, so last, well, more items on the agenda here, so, item number 7, voucher approval. Oh, we have the vouchers. Yeah, no, yeah. So item 3, or item, the next meeting date, scheduled for August. Or we're gonna have one.
Well, what we've done is, that, we've gone to scheduling every other month, but we want to have a meeting in July to have Steve here and look at his, this input that he has. And we probably should meet then.
How far did she have to drive to come?
Well,
Illinois.
Huh?
Illinois.
yeah. Well, she was up in Appleton today, so
Right, so she's coming.
to actually, to answer your question honestly, she drove from Appleton to here.
Yeah.
is on the way.
I mean, it wasn't really out of her way. It's
Hidden home.
not heading home.
But the question is do we want to meet again in July to take up this issue more, whether it's internally or whether it's facilitated?
Well, I don't know if Steve will be here in July. How do we know?
Why are these meetings on Fridays?
That's what's,
Steve
so it
wanted.
fits into the chair's scheduling. Most of his engagements for his work are out of town.
Not an issue
A lot.
for me. I'm so thorough.
I kind of have no issue.
You'd like to propose a different time.
I was just curious. It's odd time.
I agree, it's a very odd session in the middle of summer, on a Friday afternoon.
Why?
We
You
used to
work
have,
out-
what, a Wednesday? We used to meet on
Yeah.
Wednesdays?
This is the fourth Monday of the month.
I kind of liked it. So,
Oh,
I'm here than I can. But,
get out of the office.
right, but it's fine with me.
Yeah, I'm looking at these target dates on, but anyway, all of them are at the end of the year. So there's nothing except that we should have a business retention visit scheduled per month starting in June. Well, so I don't know that we have to meet in July.
Well, it's only in regards to resolving how we're going to
What we're
handle
doing.
the chairman's strategic plan input.
Okay.
But it's not the chairman's strategic for economic
No, it's
development.
Well, it's his addition.
The document that you have is titled Chairman's Strategic Economic Development Strategic Plan.
These are what
That's-
Steve
that's-
proposed, no one else.
But,
This is what Steve proposed.
okay, but it's still our document.
Yeah, our name goes on it
Yeah,
at some point.
not the chairman's document. He
Well,
might have,
it's
can
it's
change
been,
it.
it's been incorporated into this and it's turned into the implementation plan. But, I guess the thing is we need to talk with the chairman about the implementation plan, as he's the primary author. So, yeah, it's implementation plan, but what was initially sent out to you all this is what was sent out to you. I made some input to it, into the plan you see now a little bit. I tried to meld both of them, which is the revised part of it, but that's what it was.
okay, so what we want to probably, When can Steve commit to being here? If he can commit to being here in a date in July, I think we should meet.
Try to nail down the date in July.
Yeah,
Because if he, I mean, if he can't be here, then we're just spinning wheels.
Right. So, and we can work it out, but do we want that facilitated, or do we all just want to sit down, you as a EDC, and like you say, internally, figure out what it is we want to keep in this.
Well, who's
can
going
go
to
through it.
facilitate it?
Well, first of all, we gotta get something to the council. Say this is what we've been working on. How inclusive of all this do we want? This is good, is this gone to the council?
No, it's for us to get through this, and if we've got too much of what the implementation plan contains, then we need to prioritize it and pare it down.
Because once it goes to the council as an overview, then we can start working on the detail of this and putting what we want to concentrate on and focus on. And the dates to me are, I think premature at this point, but the whole idea is here's in theory what we want to do, and then they approve it and they send it back to us saying, go for it, and then we start working with it.
From what I've heard today, we want to see some more prioritization
Sure,
and
right.
trimming
But what
this
we
plan
can,
before we take it to council. Because it's not the plan that we're wanting to take to them. We still have more than what we want. I'm not going to put words in it.
no, I don't think you are. We need to have,
But without Steve here,
we need to have Steve here to hash this out.
then I don't know if we need Corey to do that.
No, we don't.
Because to quote Steve, it's easier to edit what's there than it is to start.
I mean,
This plan could end with that first page. It could. And I think, and go to the council with the general goals.
right. Yeah. The colored 3, 1, 2, 3,
Right.
and then
right.
1, 2, 3.
Strategic goal by,
Right.
yeah, by
And then all of these detailed strategies, should help to support every one of those.
this chart right here,
Yes.
which ends with this page.
Mm-hmm.
And these
Yeah,
are
that's where it ended
targets
before.
by goal.
That was the end of it before, right?
Right. That was what we choose at the planning session. Council members were here, planning department, or the department heads were, the mayor was here,
Well,
you know. Who wants to make some subsidiary document with all of his 14 pages of stuff, that's fine.
So all the pages 13 are what's been added.
Correct. Yeah,
After the first page.
somehow or another I lost her final document because it had all the pages right,
I mean, 14 will still be 14,
Right, 14
Yes,
is the list of
correct.
participants.
but it's not going to be 14 unless
It'll be
it's
28 or whatever it is.
Add
Yeah.
4,
Unless
it'll be 18 if you add the implementation.
or it becomes 13.
Right.
My inclination is to let it be 13, and then we can work out the details under that, beyond that. At least for the council to understand what kind of things we're looking at, and what is a product that we've been able to come up with.
All right, so sum things up. Basically, we're going to have a meeting with Chairman Stokowski when available. July. Next meeting is scheduled for August.
The third Friday of August.
And why is it something that The Monday meeting Steve can't make because he's out of town.
Yes, correct.
He goes up to Michigan.
The Upper
Right.
Peninsula.
Up there.
So he leaves town Monday morning and doesn't come back till Friday.
Friday, right.
The next regularly scheduled meeting would be August 15th.
Right. So for the next regularly scheduled meeting, is that all right for everybody?
What is the date? August?
And as long as we're looking at the calendar, could you just remind us, when is the appreciation event? It is, it's in November, correct?
Usually like
Yeah.
October early.
Yeah, Steve.
We don't
thought
have
we
it
had that.
established.
Yeah,
Is-
Steve sent us an email.
First week in November?
Let's back to the emails. Yeah. Not 12th, but
Okay, November 12th.
no, it's not. If I can type Bobowski in there. Let's see. Okay, here it is, right here. Great news. Everyone's pretty, yep, right, November 12th.
Okay.
So, and let's see. Keynote speaker, by the way, did anybody bring names for a speaker? Okay, so, yeah. Anyways, so the mayor's going to be our, looks to me, according to this email, the mayor's going to be our keynote speaker.
May.
And he has agreed, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it says Mayor John Nelson has graciously agreed to provide a state of the city's economic development prior to the award. We have secured our keynote speaker.
Good. All right. That's, yeah, we give us plenty of time. In August, if we do our selections for
For the business
the
appreciation
business
awards.
appreciation.
Right.
So next after that would be
Who's the +1 up there on the?
Plus one? Yeah, me. This is basically the EDC. Well, not always. To himself, I guess.
Because we don't have myself on that distribution.
Right. Well, given the date,
And we've got Melissa Ferguson.
that was the 14th of May. So
Yeah.
Melissa was still on deck, I think, at that point.
And
And you hadn't been appointed.
was Kathy on there?
Kathy should have been. Right there she is.
And the minute,
Okay, yeah.
the
yeah.
minute I heard Melissa had to step down.
What?
The minute
right.
I stepped down.
So we have our meeting dates agreed to at this point. We'll hear from
Yep.
you.
The
Regarding
minute I heard that Melissa had to
Oh,
step
yeah,
down,
yeah,
I said, get in touch with Mike Barber right away.
Gordon Bobowski and so I think to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Have a
Thank
nice
you.